Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and this is another classic review that I'm posting today, and continuing my streak of counting down my favorite films of all time. So you have number one, Lord of the Rings, and please go check out all three reviews for each of the Lord of the Rings films that I've posted, and also my number two, Mad Max Fury Road. And now this is my number three, 2001 A Space Odyssey. And if you couldn't tell already, I love genre films. Genre films really stick out for me personally. And I love a great human drama, but I feel like film is a medium where you can take so many crazy and wonderful things and awe-inspiring things and put them, like, bring them to life, that when I do get to see different kinds of worlds and different crazy, unbelievable things brought to life, that hits me more than like day to day human drama. But the best genre films bring that in. And the interesting thing is, this is a film that really doesn't hone in on that. This is a very visual and metaphorical experience and thematic experience. 2001 isn't a plot driven film. This takes you through four acts of the evolution of mankind and where mankind can go. And I love Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick is one of my favorite directors ever. And what he's able to do with this film is construct, in my opinion, the greatest science fiction film ever created. And a lot of people share that as well. This takes you places that you cannot even believe. And how it was made in the 1960s is still unbelievable to me. And from a directing standpoint, the storytelling is so smooth, the transitions are beautiful, and how this flows through, jumping large amounts of time, thousands of years at certain points, to getting us from the dawn of man to this discovery of a higher power of mankind, going out on an adventure and exploring that and coming to grips and face to face with our greatest creation, technology, and the things that can go wrong with that, and then humankind taking another step into the future, into a higher being. And how the story is told unfolds so well, and the pacing, I don't blame people if they feel like the pacing is horrendous in this film, because it is very, very slow. But the thing is, for me, this unfolds in such a beautiful way and such a well constructed way. I don't feel bored watching this film. I am in awe of what's going on screen, and I'll get to why that makes me feel that way when I talk about some of the other points in this film. But from a tonal perspective, this atmosphere, this tone that is set up throughout this whole entire film is haunting and intriguing and really tense. There's some great tension in this film, building up to some pretty devastating things happening, and us coming to grips, which the most famous part of this, I guess, is the third act, which is a space adventure going to Jupiter and dealing with the AI HAL 9000, one of the greatest villains ever put to film, and us having to deal with our own inevitability of putting technology too far ahead. I fear the robo apocalypse. I 100% do. Terminator, 2001 freaks me out, and those are some of the greatest things that connect with me. And to be perfectly honest, that my feeling towards that made me hate the movie Her, because it kind of sickened me a bit. Human being falling in love with a machine, and one of the main reasons why I really hated Chappie too. And where this film makes us come face to face with our own creation, and which a lot of people want to come face to face with our creators, and us being destroyed and targeted by something we created that's too smart for its own good. And they deal with a lot of those themes in Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I really admire about those films. And so many science fiction films all sprouted from what this film did. And in terms of this affects you on a different level than I feel sorry for these characters, it makes you feel this mysticism of what's surrounding this whole entire idea of what this higher power might be, those monoliths. And the effects in this film are breathtaking, and how this movie's all practical is unbelievable. The shots of running along the wall on an indoor track, or the waltzing space stations, and just the monoliths in space and everything. How this all came together. Stanley Kubrick was a mad genius, and I wish he was still alive to keep making work. And he did it all the way up until the end with Eyes Wide Shut, and this film is so breathtaking. Jeffrey Unsworth, who did the cinematography for this, you could literally take every shot from this movie, plaster it up on a wall, and like, that's art. It truly is. I love the shot of the monolith aligning with the sun during the Dawn of Man sequence so much. That's the background on my computer at work. It's just so evocative and hits you on such a level that it's just like all inspiring. This whole film's all inspiring from a visual perspective. And from the writing, Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke put this together. The story is fascinating. It's not a bit by bit plot like a lot of general mainstream films. It's telling an overarching thematic story of humankind's rise from ape to higher being that maybe could possibly be in our future. We don't know. And the characters, they're not, and this isn't a character driven story. There's characters. The biggest standout's a computer. HAL 9000 is one of the most memorable robots in the history of film. This artificial intelligence, which has been taken and homaged in so many different ways, up into like a Pixar movie, WALL-E. The autopilot is HAL 9000. It's so inundated in our society and our culture that HAL sticks on for years to come. And in terms of the themes of creation and birth and coming to grips with our own creations, technology, should we allow technology to keep growing and become smarter and smarter to the point where it doesn't need us anymore? It tricks us. It could get rid of us. And when it feels threatened, we'll try to get rid of us. And this film is so thought-provoking. The whole entire last act, the Moons of Jupiter and Beyond sequence through that wormhole, I've never taken any kind of drugs ever, and I feel like my mind is blown by watching that sequence. Besides the fact that it's completely practical effects, it takes you on such a journey and makes you think about what the hell's going on and what everything means. And this film is that thought-provoking. The music, there is no score. They used all classical themes, and it's absolutely beautiful. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is so perfect with the beginning of this film and the lining of the monolith and the new waltz that goes along with the spaceship going through space and docking at a space station like it's some kind of dance. It all fits so perfectly. The production design, everything looks so perfectly well made. The sound, everything, and even the details of being in space and no sound at all and how eerie that is. Everything's so put together. The acting, Keir Dullea, Gary Lockwood, and William Sylvester are the main human characters that pop up in this film, and they do fine. They do what they're supposed to do. Douglas Rain, his voice as Hal is so haunting and calm and eerie and uncomfortable, where I would joke around with my friend Dave in our finance class in undergrad. I would type out on my calculator and hold it over his shoulder in class and said, "I'm sorry, Dave, I'm afraid I can't do that." In just such a calm, monotone way that is so freaky. And plastering that just on a picture of like this beating red light is so eerie and uncomfortable. 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of the greatest experiences you can ever have watching a film if you're willing to let go and just enjoy this as an experience without worrying about super in-depth characters and intricate plots and stories. Just taking this in as a visual experience and the perfect way of taking advantage of film as a medium. I'm going to give 2001: A Space Odyssey an A+.